Welcome to Rise Untold, where the stories behind the spotlight come alive. He made the world laugh, he filled theaters with joy, and he turned a single joke into magic. Robin Williams was more than just an actor. He was a force of nature, the kind of man who could walk into a room, say one line, and have everyone doubled over in laughter. His comedy wasn't scripted. It was electricity. Pure, unpredictable, unstoppable. On stage, he was wild. His mind worked faster than anyone else's. He could jump from a Shakespearean monologue to cartoon voices to political satire. All in the span of seconds, audiences didn't just watch him perform, they held on for dear life to millions. He was the genie in Aladdin, a voice so full of life it became the heart of the movie. He was the teacher in Dead Poet Society *, urging his students to seize the day. He was Mrs Doubtfire, the nanny who showed that a father's love could move mountains. Robin Williams was unstoppable, at least. That's what the world thought. Behind the curtain, his reality was very different. Robin battled with depression, with addiction, and with a constant inner storm he could never quite silence. Fame didn't cure it. Money didn't cure it. Bending ovations didn't cure it. When the stage lights dimmed and the laughter faded, he was often left alone with thoughts he couldn't joke away. His comedy was medicine for the world, but what people didn't know was that it was also his shield. Every impression, every rapid-fire joke, every explosion of energy was his way of keeping the pain at bay. If he could make you laugh, maybe you wouldn't notice how much he was hurting. Friends described Robin as the most generous soul you could ever meet. He'd spend hours with strangers just to brighten their day. He would stop on a movie set to comfort a crew member who was struggling. He visited sick children in hospitals, showing up in full character just to see them smile. But here's the heartbreaking truth. He gave everything to others and left very little for himself. In the 1970s and 80s, at the height of his rising fame, he spiraled into addiction, cocaine, alcohol. It was all part of the Hollywood scene. Robin later admitted that he was trying to fill a hole, something he couldn't quite name. When his close friend John Belushi died of an overdose in 1982, Robin woke up to the danger of his path. He got clean, but the shadow of those battles never truly left him through the 1990s. His career reached legendary status, but even then, depression followed him like a shadow. He went through rehab more than once. He tried therapy, treatment, anything to find balance. Sometimes he won. Sometimes he didn't, and then, in his final years, a new battle began. One even he couldn't fight with humor. Robin was diagnosed with a disease few people even knew about. Lewy body dementia. It's a brutal illness. It attacks the brain, stealing memory, clarity, and even identity. Patients suffer confusion, hallucinations, and a terrifying loss of self for a man whose greatest weapon was his mind, his wit, his imagination. This disease was unbearable. It wasn't just that he was sick, it was that he was being robbed of the very thing that made him who he was. And still, he tried to keep going, he tried to work, he tried to laugh, he tried to fight. But behind the laughter, the battle raged on. On August 11, 2014, the world woke up to the unthinkable. Robin Williams was gone. The man who gave the world so much joy had lost his fight with the darkness. He was only 63. The news shattered. Millions. Fans cried. Friends were in disbelief. How could someone who brought so much happiness be hiding so much pain? But maybe that's the lesson. The people who laugh the loudest are often the ones suffering the most. The brightest smiles can hide the deepest wounds. Robin's passing wasn't just the loss of an actor, it was the loss of a light. But his legacy, his laughter, still echoes today every time a child watches. Aladdin. Asterisk and laughs at the genie's jokes every time a student hears Carpe Diem and feels inspired to live fully, every time a family gathers to watch Asterisk. Mrs. Doubtfire asterisk and remembers that love has no limits. Robin Williams lives on in the laughter, in the lessons, in the love he gave away so freely, and maybe his story leaves us with something powerful, a reminder that kindness matters, that the people who seem the strongest might need our gentleness the most. Think about it. Robin Williams was the kind of man who could light up a room the moment he walked in. He could make the coldest person laugh, the quietest soul feel seen, the saddest heart find joy. Yet, behind that brilliance he carried a weight that few ever understood. How many people do we know who seem fine on the outside, who smile, who joke, who carry on as if everything is perfect? But deep down, they're hurting. Robin's life is a lesson that appearances are not the whole truth. Sometimes the loudest laugh hides the softest cry. And maybe that's where we, as people, come in. Because kindness isn't just about grand gestures, it's about the small things, checking on a friend, asking twice when someone says, "I'm okay." Offering patience when someone seems off listening, not to respond, but to understand. For Robin, kindness was something he gave endlessly to others. He visited sick children in hospitals, often dressed as their favorite characters, just to see them smile. He raised money for charities, supported struggling comedians, and gave opportunities to people who might have never gotten a chance without him. His kindness was everywhere, but the tragedy is that he didn't keep enough. Of it, for himself, he poured his soul into making others happy, but often left himself empty. And maybe that's the greatest reminder of all, that self-kindness isn't selfish. It's survival. When we think about Robin, it's easy to remember the laughter, the wild voices, the boundless energy, the way he could make your stomach hurt from laughing so hard, but if we look closer, we also see the human being, the man who struggled, the man who fought invisible battles, the man who needed love as much as he gave it. That's what makes his story so heartbreaking and so important, because it teaches us that even the brightest lights can flicker, even the strongest souls can break, and that doesn't make them weak, it makes them human. So maybe the best way to honor Robin Williams is not just to watch his movies or quote his jokes, but to carry forward the compassion he showed others, to treat people with the same warmth he brought into every room, to remind the people we love that they matter, not just when they're laughing, but especially when they're silent. And maybe, just maybe, to honor him, we also learn to treat ourselves with kindness, to forgive ourselves for not being perfect, to give ourselves rest when the world demands too much, to say, "I deserve love too." Because if Robin had given himself even half the love he gave away, maybe his story would have ended differently. His legacy isn't just about laughter, it's about humanity, about reminding us that life is fragile, that pain hides behind smiles, and that no one, no matter how famous or funny, is immune to struggle. Because in the end, Robin Williams' story isn't just about the laughter he gave us. It's about the silence he left behind. A silence that tells us to listen more closely to the people we love. A silence that urges us to be gentler with each other. A silence that begs us to be kinder with the world and with ourselves, and that's the power of his story. He may be gone, but his message remains, because if Robin could rise through his pain and still make the world smile, maybe you can rise too.